Clarity on Fire, a podcast for people who know what they don't want out of their life and career, but aren't sure what they'd rather be doing.
In a world where it's easy to exist, but hard to feel alive, we, Kristen
and Rachel,
2 certified life and career coaches, are here to help you cut through the information overload, get unstuck, and focus not just on how you can have a career you're passionate about, but how to create a whole life that feels fulfilling.
So join us here, where we serve up inspiration and down-to-earth wisdom in a way that only 2 best friends can.
We want you to experience the relief of knowing that, yes, you're allowed to want more out of your life and career.
And no, you don't have to wander through the dark anymore. Our job is to light the fire that shows you the way. Let's go.
Hi.
Hey.
Happy side chat. Never said that before. And I don't intend to say it again.
I don't know how I feel about that.
We haven't talked about our community in a hot second, so I do want to do a plug for it because they are doing something very cool this month.
And they really initiated this. This is what I love about this community is they're chatting with each other all the time. And so they'll have ideas pop up. And this one, we decided to help them out and create a whole other thread
in Discord.
Yeah.
So they are doing a group of the Artist Way. So they're going through the Artist Way together, which we did an episode of back in was it January? I think it was January.
Wow.
We did the Artist Way, if you can believe that. And so they're going through it week by week. And then later this month, we don't have a date nailed down yet, but later this month, maybe next week or the following week, I'll probably know by the time this episode airs. So just check the show notes for like actual dates and information, or you can just go to our site and look at the show notes on our page, or you can go to the community tab and click over to Patreon, whatever. But if you want to actually get together with people and talk about the Artist's Way, they'll be doing a meetup where they're talking about the creative process. And like, it's not
not like
everyone's doing it week
it
by week, militantly.
No,
like some people can't do it that way. So they might just be doing artist dates or morning pages, but it's so nice to have accountability on doing whatever it is you feel like you can commit to.
And it's also nice to be able to share and ask questions with other people doing the same thing along the way. So there's accountability, but there's also, I know they've been in there together saying, well, how are you doing your morning pages? Because I'm getting stuck on doing it this way and people are giving ideas and it's very supportive and you can jump in at any point. And if you've been curious and wanting to do the Artist's Way and just tap into your creativity a little bit, this is a really fun way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you join at any point in the next few weeks, you can
join into the Artist's
Way and see what they're up to in there.
So we have 2 tiers. That tier is called our Flame tier. That's where the community exists. That's $6 a month. You get bonus episodes. You get quarterly hangouts with us. You get monthly community meetups led by our community ambassador. Sometimes I pop in too. I like to keep it mysterious. And then like Discord, where we're having threads of conversation every day about different things, career, the Artist's Way, just real talk, and just general crap.
You can do friend dates. People are asking each other out on friend dates virtually, which is fun.
It's fun. And it's so nice to just meet like-minded people because it's a lot harder to do than it feels like it should be in the world where we're all very seemingly connected to the whole world. And yet we're lonely and we don't really know anybody.
Mm-hmm. So if you've been feeling a little isolated, especially after the past year and a half that we've all had, this is a good place to find some of your people.
Yeah. So you can go to patreon.com/clarityonfire and you can see what we have to offer. There's also a smaller tier that has no community that's just bonus episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So, or bonus content. I say content because at some point we might make something for you that's not an episode, but so far it's only been episodes and our episodes are good. We have a series on mental health where we explored mine and then we explored yours. And were there some revelations in that?
And we get very real in those, even more so, I would say, than we are on the podcast.
Definitely.
Because on the podcast, we're sharing things that are particularly relevant to you. But in Patreon,
it's about me, baby.
Well, it's a little bit more of like a behind the scenes.
It's more personal. I have 2 series that I do quarterly. One about quitting your job and the other about dating. So if you like that, that too, there's plenty of bonus content. There's like, I don't know, 5 or 6 bonus episodes so far. So enjoy. Okay, we're here to side chat.
We are here to side chat.
You're the one who brought me this idea. So you're going to have to be the one to kick off what the heck
we're talking about today.
I was trying to avoid it. Kristen's always like, today's topic
as if I am a professor.
That's
what I'm getting into. I want to share something with you that has been really powerful for, I'm thinking of one particular client, but I've shared with a few recently, and everyone is finding it to be an extremely helpful framework for figuring out their inner dialogue. Like, what am I supposed to be doing? So people who are overanalyzing, who are up in their heads a lot, who are in analysis paralysis, this is for you.
There are people going, yes.
This started out a little bit in the masculine and feminine energy conversation, but then it morphed into something a bit different.
I mean, that's what we do, right? We take something and then we examine it from every degree around the circle, all 360 of them. And then we're like, but have you heard of degree 182? And last week we talked about degree 181.
But it sounds tedious to go through all these different perspectives, but some of them really stick with you better than others.
The way you look at something changes what you see.
Exactly. So this framework has been revolutionary. I don't think that's
that's a bold claim.
I don't think it's an exaggeration.
But you don't think you're exaggerating.
I think it's on point for this client of mine. And this might speak to you even more so than masculine and feminine energy. I don't know. We're going to see. So he brought me this idea. Actually, it started out from his religious upbringing.
Okay, we're really dialing it back.
Yeah. He was like, I remember being in church and hearing about this whole mind, body, soul thing. Like, oh, we're all, each of us, a mind, a body, and a soul. And he was like, yeah, okay, I get the mind. Yeah, I mean, obviously I get the body, but I don't really know if I'm totally bought into the soul thing. Like, what even is that? It just felt like this intangible, ephemeral kind of thing that he couldn't grasp.
Also, and what church did he go to where they were actually talking about mind, body, spirit?
Oh, that was my church. I don't know what denomination
the Holy
this
Trinity,
was.
yes.
Well, and that's part of it too. Father is more than like mind, body, soul.
But no one ever used those words in my religious upbringing experience. So
interesting. I did hear that sometimes.
Okay. Well, I'm like, that seems a little bit progressive for the religious upbringing I had. So no one ever said that.
Interesting. Yeah.
Or at least not that I was paying attention to, which, to be fair, I wasn't paying attention most of the time.
And I think part of it too, he might have been disconnecting from that because of where he originally heard about it, if that makes sense.
Totally. I mean, especially if you're being shamed or if you're picking up some, nasty.
It didn't feel like a safe space. It didn't feel like a safe space.
A lot of religious institutions sadly do not.
Yeah. But it was coming back. And so we talked about it in this way of recognizing the different aspects of yourself and seeing what's in control. And what was true for him, probably true for a lot of us, which is that his mind was running the show.
Almost always.
And this is the logical part. We can call it more of the masculine part, however you want to describe it. The mind was in control. And the mind was like, well, it does not make sense to quit our job, or it does not make sense to move to a new location, or none of these things make sense. So we will continue with the status quo because that is safe.
Mm-hmm.
You can imagine when your mind is the one in control and your body's like half there, right? It's along for the ride, but it's not super engaged. And then the soul is just, what even is that?
Non-existent.
We're not even sure that exists. So we're not giving that any attention. That can lead to, frankly, some depression.
You're never truly enjoying anything because enjoyment doesn't live in the mind.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly. And you never feel deeply connected to anything.
No.
Because that's what soul is.
That's a body spirit thing.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So we started to ask some questions about what if this soul thing, first of all, was real? Like, what if we just could buy into this concept of, I do have this other part of me that's just as valid and maybe has some opinions, maybe has some preferences. What if we invited that part into the conversation? Like, what is the soul part of me interested in? And how does that maybe differ from what the mind has been leading me toward?
Okay.
And some interesting stuff started to come up, as you might imagine.
Okay.
Just like for a lot of people listening, when we've been asking, what does feminine energy look like for you? It's like, what? What even is that? That's interesting. That's kind of curious. Ultimately, what we came to is when there is a good marriage of mind, body, soul, what ends up being the best balance, and I'm going to use an analogy here because I think this is a helpful way of looking at it.
You don't need to warn us you're using an analogy.
We're always using analogies.
We're ready for it.
So I want you to imagine that you are a company.
Okay.
And your mind, body, soul each have different roles within the company.
So they're like the C-suite?
Well, not necessarily all of them. So the mind, the soul, and this is not how people live their life. The soul is the CEO. What does this CEO do?
Make the decisions.
Set the vision, set the big picture, hold on to the mission.
Yes.
That's their high level being like, this is where the company is going and this is what we are about.
Yeah. And I'm going to make
should be the soul's job.
Hard decisions.
Exactly. Exactly. Most people's mind is their current CEO.
Yeah. And that's why they have anxiety.
Yes. Yes. Because it's doing the wrong job. It's doing the wrong job.
Yes.
Your mind is actually meant to be more of probably like a hybrid. Maybe we'll call it COO and CFO.
Yeah. Finance and operations. The logical, tangible number crunching. Let me see how to make that work kind of decision. Like CEO tells me, make this work. And you're like, okay, well, let me crunch my numbers and operate my operations.
And this is going to take this long and we're going to need this budget. And
I'd be a great CEO. Totally. Operate your operations.
Operate those operations and go. And then this client and I were talking through this analogy and we were trying to figure out where does body fit? Because it doesn't actually feel like the body fits.
I was about to say, I feel like the body thus far in this conversation, it feels like the redheaded stepchild. And I'm waiting for it to be more important because it is very important.
It is very important.
Is it? Don't tell me it's the cafeteria.
Mine might be in my life, but I don't think that's where it belongs. Okay. No, the body is the people in the company doing the work on the front lines, experiencing the thing. They're the ones dealing with clients. They're living it. Yeah. And then they have to come back and report to the C-suite. Here's what's really going on.
Yeah.
Because if all of you is at the C-suite level, nobody's on the front lines. Nobody's doing the thing. Yeah. Somebody has to be the company who comes back and reports, we're not doing this the way you thought it was, or this is not going the way you imagined. We need to course correct.
There's a disconnect between what you think is happening and what is happening and where you think we're going, where we are going and all of that.
Maybe it's more like in the HR side where they're dealing with people and I don't know.
Does HR really deal with people?
Maybe idealized HR.
I don't know.
But
I feel like they do.
The body more encompasses the company, like the company as a whole, and the people within it, and the
body of people.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
You're saying exactly like I'm saying brilliant things, but I'm really not. I'm just saying the obvious things. But yes.
Well, I'm emphasizing those things.
Okay.
So I'm curious, first of all, for people listening to this, to do a bit of a self-assessment and say, if you are a company, how is your mind, body, soul currently configured? Because I'm betting it's not like that.
You mean CEO, operations / finance / body of people, the way that it should be, quote unquote. No, most people aren't like that. Their mind is the CEO. Their soul is like they don't even know it exists. It's like in some weird prison in the basement.
It's hiding in a cubicle somewhere being like, hello, I have thoughts. I have feelings.
And then
the body's mostly numbed out.
Yeah, they're just clacking away at their keyboards, very unengaged in what they're doing.
Yeah, they're clocking in and clocking out.
Mm-hmm.
And
they're not thriving.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So what ended up happening when this client of mine started seeing himself this way and slowly giving his soul more power over bigger directions, a couple things started happening. One, his soul was like, I have a lot of ideas. You've been pushing me down for so long. Hello, I am here. Here's what I want to do. I want to meet these people. I want to go to these places. I want to try this thing. And that was great. And all the things that he's been trying that are soul directed have been going wonderfully. And then, as expected, the mind comes in and is like, hello, I used to be the CEO and I'm not so sure that I'm on board with this.
I don't like this.
This is making me very nervous.
Yeah.
And tries to overstep back into the CEO role.
Always.
And so we have to kind of keep redirecting and be like, you have a different role now. Your job is not the overarching direction of where we're going. Your job is to figure out, how are we going to do it? How much time does it take? Do we need to take some stepping stones? Because what it normally happens between a CEO and like a COO. The CEO is like, we're going to do this cool thing. And the COO is like, yeah, it's going to take longer than you thought. And it might cost a little bit more than you thought. We might have to hire some people. There's logistics.
Like three
there's
options.
Logistics.
Which one do you want to do?
Exactly. So we do need a blend of them. It's not like we're relegating the mind to not having a role.
No, it's just its most valuable role given what its strengths are.
Exactly. Because it's actually not equipped to make the big decisions in your life.
No. Your mind is a fancy computer. There's no algorithm that can make values-based decisions for you that make your soul happy. No AI is ever going to be able to do that. So it needs to be able to do what fancy computers are good at doing, which is calculating stuff and making analytical decisions. But it shouldn't be allowed out of the realm of analytical decisions.
And it doesn't actually like being there. That's why you feel anxious when you're trying to mentally logic your way into a decision that should be based in your soul.
Right? Okay, hold on. People are going to wonder, but how do I get my soul out of the basement? That's what they're going to ask. And then how do I know what it wants? And I think they're going to say, okay, I get that the mind should be given more tangible tasks, number crunching. Like, let's say you want to move across the country. You want to make a big move. Well, your soul's got to be the one to decide where we're going.
Yep.
Because that's about attraction and about where I feel pulled and compelled. And great. The mind has to be the one to figure out how to get you there. And the body has to be the one to actually do the move.
And then report back and say,
yeah.
Oh, just like our episode with Kristen Kaup recently.
Yeah.
Her body came back and said, no. Nope. We gotta go back.
Gotta go back. No. Well, also her soul chimed in too and was like, no, we made a bad decision. But that's kind of how that would work in a move, right? So then how does that work? How do we get the soul out of the basement? People are going to want to know that.
Yes. Well, and this has been the work I've been doing with this client, is how do we get his soul out of the basement? And I'm going to give you some little examples of the best way he described this was, he said, again, if my soul, or if my body was or if I was a company, right now the soul has zero budget and the mind has like 90% of the budget and maybe the body has 10% of the budget. It's like, so I'm nervous about giving my soul part of the budget because I don't know what's going to happen. I've never done this before.
Right.
So he said, this week I decided to give my soul a nickel. Nickel.
So sad,
what are you going to do with a nickel? And his soul was like, I want to sing a song. He just sang a song.
Wasn't it in the middle of the night?
It was the middle of the night.
He just woke up in the middle of the night and sang a song?
Yeah.
Because that's what his soul felt like doing.
Great. And so it was like, okay, you used that nickel and it was all fine.
And he did karaoke.
Alone.
You put a nickel in a jukebox and the soul sang a song.
The soul sang a song.
Okay.
And then later in the week, gave the soul a little bit bigger budget. And the soul was like, I don't want a Cobb salad for lunch. I want chicken fingers.
Oh,
okay.
Okay. The body wasn't there for that decision.
Maybe the body was very there for that decision.
I don't know.
I don't know. And then later on that weekend, it was, okay, now what do you want, soul? I want to go to a museum.
Oh, right. Okay.
So you can start really small. That's it. It's just, and you can tell when it's your soul versus your mind, because your mind will be like, it would be good intellectual stimulation for us to go to a museum this weekend. That would be a appropriate and adult thing to do. I should
do this thing because it's what people do.
Yep. That is that would have been the Cobb salad. Instead, the soul was like, I feel like being a kid today. I feel like taking things a little bit more lightly. And I'm going to have chicken fingers. I haven't had them in years. He said it was the best chicken fingers he'd ever had.
Well, he doesn't remember what they taste like. Who knows? But yes.
Right. And so you can tell because there's desire, there's attraction, there's interest. There's like, is this allowed? Can I do this? Really? Really? And there's a little part of you that might feel like, I feel like kids are such a good example.
Oh my God, so good. They're always soul oriented.
In the soul. They don't really care about the logistics. I mean, they'll have to figure it out eventually, of course, but that's not what it's about. It's about the body and the soul, really.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking about, I just spent the day, 4th of July with my nieces who are 5, 3, and 1.5. I have a 4th niece on the way in October, you guys.
All from the same parents.
They are all,
4 girls.
4 sisters.
Imagine that house when they start to get into their teenage years.
It's so loud all the time already. Emotions. I'm like, you're going to add a 4th voice to this chorus? Mm-hmm. Their other grandma was like, well, now you can start a band. Like now, like they could totally be a band.
Also, how great for hand-me-downs. They don't have to have any boy clothes in that whole house.
They barely have to buy like anything new. They can just keep passing it on down. Anyway, but like they just do what they want when they want. They're like, I feel like following this dog around right now. And Scarlett's like, please don't. And they're like, nope, I love you. And I'm going to follow you around.
I feel like doing cannonballs in the pool.
I feel like reading this book right now. And then 2 minutes later, they're like, I don't feel like that anymore. And then they're on to something else.
Yes. Like, and the mind would be like, no, we sat down to read and we need to read for 30 minutes. Because that is.
Please, we have to say the favorite quote from my niece, Devin. At my dad's birthday party, like 3 or 4 months ago, when he turned 70, we had cupcakes. And so there were different types of obviously different flavors and varieties of cupcake, but Devin was given a chocolate one. And at some point
then ate that and was so happy and looked around at her mom and said, which cake is next?
She's 3. And I just absolutely love that her soul was like, this is great. Which cake is next? Like,
what a great question to ask your soul. Like, okay, that was great. What's next?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes.
And indulgent. And she's just like, it doesn't, like, she couldn't even finish the cupcake that she had. It was a huge cupcake. She's a small child, but she was like, all right, that was good. What else is on the menu? Like, what else is on the menu is a great question for your soul.
For your soul.
Yeah.
And if you speak to these different parts of you, which I know feels a little weird, but they will have answers. If you ask the soul part of you, what do you want to do today? It's going to be like, I want to do this. And then I guarantee you what's going to happen is the mind's going to chip in and say, well, do we really have time for that? And that's fine. That's fine. You know, it's just doing its COO, CFO job. Do we have the budget? Do we have the time? Can we make this work? The only thing I'm asking for you to do here is check in with your soul and don't let the mind shut it down immediately.
Yeah, it's not the mind's job anymore.
That's it. It doesn't get to choose the direction. Your soul said, we're doing this. Your mind might have to come in and say, look, maybe this has to be, Tuesday instead of today.
The mind is like the parent.
Exactly.
In this situation where it's like, okay, we can't have 10 cupcakes. Like that's not going to be good for your stomach. And your soul might be like, I love cupcakes,
Right.
And
your body's like,
cupcakes. But like, you can't.
But eventually your body is like, too many cupcakes.
Nope, too many cupcakes. Right.
Mm-hmm. Which is feedback loop back to the mind and the soul. We're done. No more cupcakes, please.
Right.
Which is why they each have their role. So if you've been feeling kind of dull and gray and kind of depressed and listless, or if you've been feeling stressed and anxious and overthinking everything, all that might mean is the different parts of you are not in their correct roles. And we need to reorient. We need to shake up this company and remind each member what their responsibility is. They each have an important part. That's fine. But your mind cannot run the whole company. That is the bottom line.
So soul decisions are feelings-based decisions. They are intuitive decisions. It is what I feel compelled by. It's what I feel a desire around. It's what makes me feel vibrant. It's what makes me feel colorful. It's what makes me feel fun, light, younger, ease and flow. There's a lot of feminine energy in the soul, and there's a lot of masculine energy in the mind.
And I feel like the body is this weird, cool blend.
Where it's the place where they're supposed to meet and meld, and then you take action accordingly. It's where they kind of pour into, and they become it's like two rivers pouring into one. We've used a lot of analogies today.
Yeah, we've used a lot of analogies. We always do, though.
But like mixed metaphors, I think they can work.
I don't hate it.
No, I like it. So I like that he started with a little bit of karaoke in the middle of the night.
Again, so small.
It can be small.
Give your soul a nickel. Just start with that. What would you do with a nickel?
That's a good question. What would you do if you gave your soul a nickel? Just a little bit of leeway, just a little bit more bandwidth, just a little bit more budget than it has right now.
Slowly build up trust that your soul does make perfectly good decisions. We don't have to start with the biggest things.
I'm not actually that bad at it, but I just mean it's a good reminder for dating too. Like you can think about this.
Okay, how would this context apply there?
Well, I think for a lot of people, maybe not me so much anymore, but for a lot of people, if the mind is in charge, it's like, I should talk to this person.
They're good on paper.
Like the kind of person I would like. But your soul is like, I'm getting nothing from this person. Like I'm getting no heat. I'm getting no, like they're not giving me anything. I feel like I'm thirsty and I'm dying, not in the good way. So if the soul is in charge, it's more about, do I feel drawn? Do I feel intrigued? Not do I think, do I feel? Do I feel intrigued? That's a good question. I always like that question. Is like, am I intrigued? Am I intrigued enough to like talk to this person? Am I intrigued enough to have another conversation with this person? Am I intrigued enough to meet them in real life? That's a soul-led kind of decision. I don't need to overthink it. I don't need to be like, why do I feel compelled? Who cares? Like at some point, if you're feeling compelled, it's probably a soul-based thing. Now I will do a little asterisk and like a little bit of a footnote here, little disclaimer. Sometimes compulsion can be a bit of an addictive type of thing. And in a relationship setting, that can be a little bit of like insecure attachment.
Well, that's why we do need the mind still. The mind needs what you need to do in that context is put your mind on the job of paying attention to red flags.
And setting boundaries.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
So the mind is like, okay, but we got to make sure we don't go too far one way or the other. And we got to make sure I'm collecting data here and I want to assess the data and come back and give you a report.
Yeah. And then the body goes on a date and the body's like, I looked at him with my eyeballs and he's not as hot as I thought he was going to be. And I'm not into it. Okay. Great.
Yeah. Your body then gives that feedback
to
the mind and to the soul. And then we make holistic decisions. That's the point of this. You want your decisions in life to be holistic and encompassing all parts of you. And when you don't bring all of these pieces in, it feels like something is missing. It feels like a part of you is neglected. And that's because, frankly, it is. It is. So we need to invite everyone to the table, everyone to the board meeting.
Yeah, everyone gets to come. Maybe not every single employee.
This is not a dictatorship. This is a company where everyone's voice needs to come into play. We need to honor all of them. So that's it. I mean, we've given some examples of what it looks like in work, what it looks like with moving, with dating. Apply your own example and ask, what would my mind's job be? What would my soul's job be? And then how do I use my body to experience this and then report back?
Yep. We do this so much in coaching. So much. I mean, people are so, their default is just to overthink and try to think their way into a solution. And at some point it's like, first of all, no, we start out helping them pay more attention to how they feel and what intuitively feels good. And then when they get better at that and they stop relying too much on their mind, then they go out into the world and they have to have the experience, aka the body stuff. And then that really helps inform their mind and their soul, like what's next.
It really is the process of coaching. It's putting every part of you back in its right place.
Yep.
And using all the parts of you for what they're good at, and stop trying to have your mind do things it's not equipped to do.
Oh my God. I'm in that right now today. I know. In a very specific situation.
Don't you love when our conversations are like, oh shit, I needed to hear this personally.
My mind is currently trying to solve something that literally cannot be solved by anything other than the soul and the body. And I just have to wait for the soul and the body to figure it out. And my mind is like doing that judgment.
You literally were losing sleep over the situation because your mind was doing a job it wasn't meant to do.
My mind is doing the Judge Judy meme where she's like banging on her wristwatch and then she's banging on the table and she's like, hurry the F up. That's what I'm doing right now.
That's your mind is in the wrong job.
My mind is not doing the right job right now.
No.
So I got to be like, put
your soul back in the CEO job.
Yeah. Just, yep. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I know everyone's like, what is the situation? But we're not going to.
Maybe you'll find out.
Just not today.
At some point I'll have a resolution and then I'll be able to talk about it, whether on this or on an upcoming special thing. So I will talk
very vague and mysterious
next month. Okay. Well, if you like this and you want to leave a comment, please go to the show notes and click on over and leave us a comment on.
I want to hear what mismatch of roles those parts of you are in. And I want to hear what situations you're going to apply this to. So leave us a comment. I might be back at some point. Maybe we need to get into this more with the client I just described.
I would love to have him.
I wanted to share the concept first because it's been so helpful for people. And then maybe we'll get more into
the application
later.
Sure. Okay. That's enough for now.
That is enough.
Okay. Leave us a rating and a review at some point too. I don't know. I just felt like asking for that.
Always ask for that.
Always ask for that. If you haven't yet, please do.
We do love them. So.
And it really helps. And we'll be back next Friday with a little, can you believe it's time for another message from the universe?
Oh, it's been a while.
I don't think it has, but it has. It's been almost 2 months. I mean, I've been doing them every other month because I think that's a good cadence and I like them.
And then have we told people what book we're doing?
No.
Should we?
Sure. I don't know. No one ever reads them before we talk about
I don't know if that's true.
Well, we're reading around this
industrious people who jump on it. I don't know.
Sure. Okay. Well, we're having a bonus book club on July 30th, and we're going to be talking about Effortless by Greg McKeown. It is the sequel to Essentialism, which was a very popular book that we really liked. I'm going to save most of what I have to say about the book until the episode. But if you want to talk about how to do feminine energy, but through kind of a masculine lens, that's how this book is interesting in that way.
It is. It's a cool new take on what we've been talking about.
Yes.
It's a little bit more of the how-to part of it. So I don't know that we meant for it to fall right into this theme.
Well, it does.
That we've been on this podcast for a little while now, but it does. And we're going with it.
Okay. So if that sounds good, you can also start reading or listening to that book, or you can just wait for us to review it for you in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks.
Okay.
All right. See you next Friday.
Bye.
Bye.